Ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned in to the best Warhammer show on the planet and the realms of gods and men. I bring you your two legendary hosts, Andy and Remington. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. A brand new game called Coven. It's easy to learn the rules. I said it's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night.
Welcome, one and all, to the Andy and Rem Show, episode 84, I believe. So we're not that far away from episode 100 now, which is, of course, going to be a momentous occasion in which Remington is going to sing for the entire show. He's pledged.
When did I do that?
A while ago. I'm sure you don't remember it. So we're waiting patiently. When I say patiently, I mean I've been non-stop clicking refresh on the GW pre-order page to see when the Kharadron Overlords are going to pop up, but no sign of them yet on the website. So it looks like we're going to have to wait until probably the end of this week, or, knowing GW, 10 minutes after the end of the show, and then everything will pop up with all the new war scrolls and everything, just like last week, or the week before, should I say, when they decided to unleash all those juicy information nuggets just after we went off the air, literally minutes later.
And literally, after a week after I talked about, creating a dwarf pirate army, there comes pirate Nautilin, Skylords.
Indeed.
Dwarf. Yeah, interesting.
Speaking of pirates, let's see who we've got in the audience tonight, because there's at least one person with pirate in their name. Let's see who we've got. We've got Abnormal, which is an interesting name that could describe everyone in there, to be honest. We've got Bazooka J Rambo, Demon _Lizard _from _outer _space, Fluffy Dread, Gloom Dready Gaming, Green Stuff Games, Jones Yarny, Mickey Jenver, Pirate _Kai, somebody named Remington Steel, Rhino of Pleasure, and Stronghold TV, with new people popping up in there all the time. So, there's Mini Warrior as well. Packed house as always. So, Mr. Rem, what have you been up to as we await the impending drop of the Kharadron Overlords? How have you been preparing?
I've been dropping my new album all over the world. Fact, it's reached number 22 in the Euro music charts, which is based on radio plays. So that's Uncle Frank Loveline. I'm very thrilled about that. That's something to hang off. Can't remember the term, but I've been busy promoting that, really.
It would be something to hang your Warhammer YouTubers Award certificate from, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hang your hat off. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. So I've been busy doing that, and also kind of in my mind formulating plans for the aforementioned Witch Coven.
Yes, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Witch Coven, or Coven, however you want to pronounce it. Mainly because it seems eerily similar to a game that GW just announced.
Unbelievable.
Who would have thought that they'd beat you to the punch yet again, just like all your other $1 million ideas? But we are going to have a solid look at Shadespire very shortly. In fact, shall we do that first? Because I know you're itching to compare this to Witch Coven and tell us why this is the inferior product.
Okay.
So, let's jump.
Shouldn't take long.
Let's jump straight into this. So, there's obviously the big logo that we've already seen with skeletons all around. A new tactical arena game.
Okay.
So, here's what it looks like. Playing on hexes with pre-coloured miniatures. Stormcast and Bloodbound, obviously. Special dice, and it's in a kind of fighting arena.
Well, they're new miniatures, aren't they? They're new sculpts.
I believe all of them are, yes. If someone knows any different, then let me know, but I believe they are new. The Stormcast are certainly new. If any Bloodbound experts are among us, then let us know.
Well, I'm sure anyone looking at that would rather be the guys covered head to toe in armor rather than the now half-naked, frenzied, naked guys.
I don't know, some people enjoy being half naked and frenzied. They look quite ferocious as well, and the red gives the illusion that they're soaked from head to toe in other people's blood, because if they were that covered in their own blood, then surely they would be dead, so it must be somebody else's.
Right, okay. So what's that big, like, bluey thing, circle thing? Is that the spire, or is that some kind of hell pit?
I have no idea. It just looks like a little arena, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For gladiatorial combat. And it also has a heavy use of cards by the looks of it, with all your stats and whatnot on there.
It would be nice to see those models, like, painted, properly painted as well. Because hopefully you can do that, right?
Presumably they will show off pictures of it painted eventually. At the moment, they're just showing what they expect certain people to be playing when they pick it up. People that are more into the board game kind of thing, or people that want to play it immediately after opening the box rather than painting the models first. But of course, you'll be able to paint them in your chosen colours. Yeah,
it looks like a cross between Gore Chosen and the other one, the big one.
The big one?
The big board game they released last year that I still haven't.
Warhammer Quest?
Yes. Looks like a mixture between those. But like for kind of new players, I guess.
Well, let's keep rolling, because...
Look at those dice. Look at those dice, Andy. Hold on. They're not normal dice, are they?
They are not. They are special dice. Look, there's a hammer on that side, a shield there. There's arrows everywhere. Crossed swords.
That looks like it could be fun.
So all you need to do is put weird symbols on your dice, and you've got the Remster hooked instantly. Let's have a look. So, the format is apparently a big departure from Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Warhammer Underworld's Shadespire is still firmly set in the mortal realms, an ancient and damned city. So everyone will have their own little gang or war band.
It's a firm departure from Age of Sigmar featuring Stormcast. Okay.
Yes.
You're not selling me yet, Andy. Come on.
A departure from the rules, I would imagine, not the world. And then we've got this lovely image of all the skeletons here. I'm sure that you've seen a few views like that in your time on stage.
Like what? Frenzied people?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
There was one gig I did where someone, like, I think they must have been a bit drunk and high, but they stripped naked and got onto the stage dancing. And we had this big security guard called Jimmy, with a big black bomber jacket and a goatee, like, biker mustache. And usually he'd come on and kind of, throw the guys away. But he just stood at the side, like, gawping. It was quite entertaining for a few minutes. But then she wouldn't get off stage. She was just, like, in this kind of weird hippie trance.
Sounds like the audience of this show, to be honest. Okay, so the forces you can use in this game will be drawn from races across the mortal realms, including some factions that have not received any new miniatures since we first ventured into the Age of Sigmar. First two factions showcased are iconic adversaries. Well, they want them to be iconic because they've been splattered into every product. Eternals, Liberators, and Khorne Blood Reavers. And yes, there is a Lady Liberator in there as well, who apparently, according to the audience, has been named Susan the Stormcast.
Susan? So, I thought her name was Angharad.
Well, she does have a real name, but apparently the audience are naming her Susan now. So there she is. And what do you know? GW have got a female miniature that is just part of the crew, as it were, rather than their own separate, like, Sisters of Sigmar. We are the holy women who aren't allowed to be in the main unit of Stormcast. She's just one of them, which matches one or two references in the fluff where it was mentioned that the men and women have been forged into Stormcast, but then you couldn't really tell by looking at any of the miniatures because they're just armor.
No, I think she looks great. I do, because If you look at her like hips, she's got like sort of childbearing hips, like a warrior lady should do. You know, she's not all like superhero and too skinny with big boobs. She looks like she's, you know what I mean? She's lived a life.
They've managed to make the model look sufficiently feminine in shape without resorting to like giant traffic cone armor.
Yeah, I think she looks brilliant, and I like the guy with the sword. Looks great. How he manages to wield that sword without falling over, I don't know.
Probably the same way they wield these ridiculously oversized hammers that look like they're for some kind of whack-a-mole game.
Yeah.
He's also holding his helmet in his hand, so you can see his magnificent hairstyle there. So very, very tasty. This game is played using unique dice and card decks. So interesting. The cards sound like they're going to factor into the gameplay rather than just the stats. And these will, to an extent, be unique to each faction. Both decks of cards used in the game are fully customizable, meaning you can choose to create all manner of combinations of overlapping abilities. So there's an image from the game. Although this is obviously pre-turn 1, because I would expect all the Blood Reavers to be splattered by the end of that turn when this hammer comes down. Just completely...
Yeah. Is it just me, Andy, or would you have preferred like Bloodbound versus Witch Elves?
Well, I'm not sure that quite fits in with the new narrative, which is the Stormcast are being shoved down your throats in every possible product. So maybe Stormcast versus Witch Elves.
No. It's like nails against thick-plated golden armor. Doesn't seem quite fair to me. Rather, wouldn't you rather, you know, have nails scratching over kind of like, you know, over muscular frenzied men? I don't know what I'm saying now, but yeah. I'm
sure you're describing something that's lurking in the back of your mind there.
I'm saving it for my own game.
So some people at Adepticon actually got to sample this game. And whether it's the complete finished product or not, we can only speculate. But apparently they were quite enthused by it. In fact, in the chat a minute ago, I spotted a comment from someone saying, oh, there we go, from Mr. Tabletop Minions. It says, the people at Adepticon that I talked to who played it were really impressed. So that's a good sign.
He's a good guy. He knows what he's been around a long time in the business, going to all the Adepticons and the various cons. He's not visited RemCon yet. Of course, that will be the pinnacle of his Warhammer quest. But yeah, fair play. What's your price? Prediction, Andy?
Well, it depends. If we're getting that amount of miniatures in it, if that's all we're getting, so 8 models and a load of tiles and dice, you would imagine it wouldn't be that expensive. So I don't think it'll be anywhere near as much as some of the other boxed games, especially if they're targeting a slightly different market as well. If this is just the starter set, then you imagine it would be reasonably priced if you compare it to something like the X-Wing miniatures game, where you just get a few models in it for about £25, and that just gets you started, and it draws you in and then encourages you to spend untold hundreds on the expansions. I would imagine it would fit into that domain. So I'm going to guess £25 for the box.
Yeah, I was going to go with that. How much was Gore Chosen?
Gore Chosen was around about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be cheaper than Gore. I'm saying £20. £20, and I think that plastic is like those old like World War II soldiers that you used to get. Well,
Do you really?
Yeah, if it's going to be a cheaper price.
Well, I don't think the plastic is going to be any worse. There have been other games with the coloured plastic, and I don't think the quality has been any lower in those.
Well, I don't think you're going to need to assemble those. I think they come like that. Of course, I'm speculating, but I think
maybe you'll have to like plug them into their base or something at worst.
Yeah. Well, does it tickle your fancy, Andy? I mean, they're orange. You got orange miniatures there.
Well, if it's only going to be a very low entry point, and it'll perhaps encourage other people to try the game, because there's no instant requirement for painting. You can already tell the factions apart. Then perhaps it's more likely you'll find someone willing to play it with you than other game systems. If it's going to be quicker, maybe easier to learn, or at least easier to get started, then perhaps just looking at it immediately, it doesn't scream at me must buy.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing people have been speculating on is whether or not the female Stormcast are actually going to appear in any other products. And I would hope that now it's been established that they exist, they would start including a couple of female bodies in each of the boxes. Couldn't do any harm, could it?
No. The Painted Goomba, I think that's a new guest. Welcome, welcome. He or she says they're snap fit, so I guess they come all stuck together and you have to pull them apart. Right?
Well, there are some very simple to assemble products they've got. Most of the starter sets are quite easy to put together, but I would imagine they'd be one step beyond that in terms of ease of assembly.
Are you going to get it, Andy?
Maybe. It's in the maybe pile at the moment. What do you think? Do you think this would be a good one for you to introduce people with?
I'm gonna hold fire on it. I think it's a great idea. I would have preferred to see a game like, I don't know, Snotling Cave, featuring, snotlings and maybe like a dwarf stumbling across a snotling infested mountain. That would have been more interesting, but what can you do? It's got to feature
Snotling Cave and Witch Coven. So which of those are you hanging your hat on at the moment then?
Should we go into it now? Should we go into
Go on then. Tell us why Witch Coven and perhaps Snotling Cave are far superior to Shadespire.
Well, number one, I've decided the way I'm going to start promoting Witch Coven is not by revealing the rules, not by revealing the miniatures, or even not too many details. But what I want to start off is with a PDF novella to start us off with. Then a YouTube story, just to kind of like whet the palate of people's imaginations, get them on board with the kind of all the fluff, and then we can get into the game. So that's my new thing. So I've come up with all the concept and everything, and I've now got to get someone. I've got someone very special in mind to flesh out the novella. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say what I think when there was very little information actually given there. I think you'll have to give us a bit more to get our teeth into.
Well, the storyline is based around a hero / heroine that infiltrates a coven of witches, tries to bring them down from the inside.
So there's your story. What kind of game is it then?
What kind of game?
Yes.
It's well, there's lots of facets to it, Andy. You've got the novella, then you've got the kind of role play game. So you have Dungeon Master and do it like that. And you can be a group of witches infiltrating the coven. And there's obviously a bigger scheme that's grand. We'll have to figure out a unique way of, having stats and rolling dice and whatnot. And then it can turn into like a board game. It's going to be awesome.
Mini Warrior has made a very shrewd observation.
Yeah.
He says, Rem seems like he'd write in a coffee shop on a MacBook.
Yeah. Or at home, making my own coffee. Just as good.
Save a bit of money as well.
Better Wi-Fi as well. But what I'm thinking, maybe to sort of reimburse the writers, maybe I could sort of charge like £1 or £2. Would people be willing to like maybe pay that much to read the book?
Well, let us know, audience. How much money would you pay to experience the full effect of the Witch Coven? Or since it's Mr. Remster's idea, we should really pronounce it Witch Coven, since that's how he's intending it to be pronounced.
It'd be good. And one rule that is not going to change. The first rule is that there's no Stormcast allowed.
What?
There's going to be no Stormcast.
Well, I would hope not really, because you would be infringing on Games Workshop's intellectual property if you were to include Stormcast in there.
Well, there's no Stormcast and no Bloodbound whatsoever. Okay, either it's going to be like based in the old Warhammer world, but not featuring Helibron or Marathai, but within the kind of the tower and a cauldron, featuring a cauldron of blood and whatnot. Could do that, or I could just write a completely different lore. I'm torn. I'd like to go with the Warhammer path, but if you're talking about copyrights and people getting vexed by that, then I'll have to choose a different path. But it's early days. I have got some artwork though, sent by Mickey Genver, who's helping me out with the concept.
Well, while you're preparing that, there's a very interesting suggestion here from Demon_Lizard, and this rule actually sounds like it would help you win. First rule, ones always win. You are well known for rolling ones after the battle cry, Remington.
Yeah. I could re-roll ones. How about that?
I'm not sure that'd help, because you'd just roll another one then, wouldn't you? Unless it's infinite re-rolls of one, in which case you'd be stuck in some kind of time loop. Right, have you got some artwork to share with us then?
Yeah, and it's just past the 9:30 threshold.
Oh dear.
You ready? Here we go. Look at that. How awesome's that? So that's that could be like, what's happening there then? She's about to be sacrificed for the witch Coven, or is she about to escape their clutches? Who knows?
Well, just in case there's anything where there aren't so conveniently placed shadows, I'm quickly going to move it over to me before you start navigating around.
I was going to do a close-up. But that's artwork by Mickey Genver, superstar that she is.
Well then.
All right.
Mickey Genver says, there goes Andy's channel. Yes, I can see it all being taken down now. YouTube has deleted your channel for inappropriate content.
But what I was thinking, how I thought about having a male character involved. Like, there's been so many films where, like, a woman has had to kind of, pretend to be a man to infiltrate the ranks. I was thinking of, like, flipping that idea on its head and having a man trying to be a witch to get into the Coven. So he has to, like, lose loads of weight and shave all his facial hair and do other things to, like, pretend to be I don't know. Just flip it. It's just an idea. Could be quite cool.
I can see the dollar signs peeling off this idea the more you talk about it.
I mean, Andy, if you had to infiltrate the witch Coven, what would you do? You're not going to wear that black, scary blonde wig, are you?
Well, I would probably have to put on some kind of false nose, because, as you know, witches are well known for having their large noses covered in warts. So that'd be a good start, wouldn't it? Perhaps get a broomstick and a pet frog or a cat.
No, they're cliche witches. Having said that, I never told this, but I used to live in Russia many, many years ago. And there was a legend of a witch called Baba Yaga. And Baba Yaga lived in the forest, and she had this, like a crony house next to a lake. And she used to, like, people would disappear, and they would say Baba Yaga used to take them into a cauldron and eat them. There you go.
Well, more ideas for which Coven there. People are going to be feasted upon. Okay, shall we move on to Kharadron Overlords now? I think you've given the people a juicy enough nugget of information on your upcoming game. And when I say upcoming, I mean maybe you'll eventually get round to it in about 5 years' time. Okay, here we go.
5 years, all right.
So, Kharadron Overlords. There's been speculation rife about how connected these new Dwarden are to their ancestors. And apparently, people have found out that they are very, very connected indeed. Because if you look at some of the old dwarf language, you'll see. Look at this. So, Karak, mountain, stronghold. Karaz, strong, enduring, etc. And Dron, thunder. So it's suggested that their new name means Thunder Stronghold. Thunder Stronghold Overlords. So they're using the old Dwarven language which features heavily in all the old Dwarf Army books, and I should know because I own all of them.
I wonder if they have gods, or if they're like new ones or old ones. You know what I mean? Interesting, but I mean, do you know what? I thought it was a very good move by Games Workshop to beat the spoilers by putting out the images, high quality images, to whet people's appetites, because some of those models do look brilliant, and I'm really tempted. I think I'm going to get some of those when they come out. I think some of them are going to be really pricey though, because they look awesome. Like those big ships, especially, because you probably need to show a picture. I don't know if you've got any lined up, but some of the big sky ships have those big balls on the top. They're like hot air metal, yeah, those things. Now, if you take those off, it could look like a submarine, couldn't it? Easily. So you could kind of model it in a different way. I think they look brilliant. I won't be surprised if the big one costs, £80-90, really. What do you think?
I wouldn't be surprised at all, because it does look like quite a beast. We've got some info on some of the components here as well. The Arcanaut Ironclad Captain there on the back. Great Sky Hook. Ether Propeller. Some of the components here. Heavy Sky Hook. So it's Heavy Sky Hook and Great Sky Hook. I don't think this one has a sky hook. It has a sky something. Does that look like it might say cannon? It's a little bit blurry. These are images that people took, I believe, from the latest White Dwarf and then uploaded them.
Yeah, they look awesome, man. I might just get the small one, and if it goes well, I could work my way up to the big one.
Depending on price, I think that will determine which one of these I go for originally.
They're so detailed, aren't they? I mean, you could easily make the mistake of gluing it all together out of curiosity and excitement, and then realizing, I should have painted this in bits.
Sprawling the detail, as it were. We've also got a bit more information on each of the characters, and the paragraphs have been kindly chopped in half, so we can't really bring you too much info there. But I'm sure if you were to check out the new White Dwarf, you'd be able to read all of these full sentences.
You can see the word sturdy and tough.
I'm sure you can, because they are dwarves at heart.
What about the mustache gun? Is that a real thing?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
But let's have a look at this, shall we? We've got a war scroll here, which is also quite blurry, but it is a complete war scroll for Brock Grungson, Lord Magnate of Barak Nar. So let's see if I can read this. Something Brock Grungson returns to his returns to his skyport. He does so with his airship, something so filled with treasure that they shake. Something blurry. No Dwarden alive reaps profit at such a ferocious rate as the Lord Magister of Barak Nar. Something blurry, battlefields of the mortal realms. So we can actually look at some of his rules here. And he has a move of 12 inches. So speculation that maybe they'd be really slow can go right out the window there, can't they?
This is the hero that's on a balloon, isn't it?
Yes, this would be the mustache cannon guy, I believe.
Cannon guy, yeah.
So 12-inch move, 8 wounds, which I believe is what I suggested he would have. 3+ save, bravery 8. So his weapons, let's see. I'm not sure if he's armed with all of these missile weapons, because I would have to actually be able to read what these paragraphs say in order to establish that. But Grungson's Boast, it looks like that says, 18-inch range, 2 attacks, 3+, 2+ with D3 damage. Then he's got another weapon there with 18-inch range as well. So he's fast, and he's also got decent range. And that's not doing as much damage. And then Ether Blasters, which might be his mustache cannons, you never know. And they're doing even less damage. So I imagine, though, he's got lots of juicy special abilities, if I can actually read them. So you can re-roll hit and wound rolls of 1 for Brock Grungson if those attacks were directed against a hero or monster. So that's tasty.
What's his natural to hit and wound anyway? Is it like kind of 3s probably, right?
Yeah, he's generally on 3s and 2s.
Wow.
Supercharged something, so he can supercharge his something in the combat phase to give himself extra strength. Doing so can be hazardous, I think that says. When he uses this ability, roll a dice and roll of a 1, he suffers a mortal wound. On the roll of a 2 or more, presumably, the damage characteristic of the ethematic saw is 3 rather than D3 until the end of the phase. Interesting. So you potentially sacrifice a wound. And then there's something else there. Does not count towards the maximum number of sky farers that can be embarked on a sky vessel. So that seems like confirmation that you can transport the Kharadron Overlords. What do you think?
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of downside, like maybe their hot air balloon blows up if they roll badly.
And then they all die horribly. I'm sure you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, why is all the negative stuff happen to like destruction races?
He's got a command ability here. Uses this ability. It's very difficult to read this. I wish people could upload in slightly higher definition these horrendously blurry images. His first and most significant something of the code to the victor, the something, the spoils, I'm going to assume that is. Until your next hero phase, friendly Kharadron Overlord units within, I'm going to say 18 inches, can charge even if they run in the same turn. So that gets them moving a little bit faster, doesn't it? And they're already fast. So 12 inches for him. I'm going to assume that the other balloon guys are 12-inch move as well. So the thoughts that perhaps they just drop in and then they're quite slow after that can be put firmly to bed, I would say, with this war scroll popping up. And we can see his keywords as well. So Order, Dwardin, Kharadron Overlords, Hero, Skyfarer, Brock Grungson. So Skyfarer seems to be associated with how many of them can be transported in a sky vessel, as shown in that paragraph there. Interesting.
I've never had that before, have they, in Warhammer Fantasy? Troops being transported.
Not to my knowledge. There may have been something out there, and of course you've been able to like fly off the table and come back in, and other crazy rules like that. But as far as being actually transported inside another model, I'm not sure it has actually happened.
Could be interesting, like one of those big vessels. That's your army, just the vessel, and then where you decide to deposit your load, that's when all the kind of pirate doors jump out.
Indeed.
Could be quite fun.
I think it's going to be very fun.
But then if you blow up the vessel, then you kind of destroy everyone. That'd be even more fun, wouldn't it? Before they land.
I'm not sure that would be fun. It would be fun for that unit of 40 Ungor raiders that try to bring down the vessel before it lands, definitely.
I'm sure it's got like a 2-up re-rollable save and, bonuses versus mortal wounds and, all the usual dwarf stuff.
Mini Warrior says, do these dwarves sing pirate songs? I would imagine they probably do. And in fact, I'm going to find a picture right now because there is an image out there of what these guys look like without their suits, which I'm just going to get loaded up here. And then I will share that. Here we go. So, what do you think of that? There he is about to get into his suit in a very Darth Vader-like suit pod. And he's looking quite naked there, but he seems to be wearing pants. And you can see, actually, he's got a bald head, but you can actually see there's beard confirmed there because you can see it poking out on each side. So that little beard mask isn't just for show, that is actually to encase a mighty dwarven beard.
He's got loads of tattoos as well, hasn't he?
It looks like they could be tattoos, yes. But we're never going to see them because they're always in their suits.
Hmm.
And it looks like Mr. Remington has turned into a pirate there.
I've gone for the... I think you should do the same, Andy. The celebration of these new models.
You've just discovered Google effects. It only took a couple of years.
Yeah, these look good. I'm excited. I love all this stuff.
Very, very exciting times ahead for dwarf fanatics and just fans of Age of Sigmar in general, because it's another fresh, juicy new race thrown into the mix.
It would be kind of... I've had a few people comment that they don't necessarily have to paint everything like metal. Like those big kind of ether balls that are powering the things could be painted to look like crystal, or, painted like rainbows or something. Not necessarily like bronze. Just a thought.
You're thinking of getting some of these and going a bit crazy with the paint schemes then?
I don't know if I'm a good enough painter, but they could look like, I don't know, like light bulbs, like that.
Light bulbs.
They didn't have a mustache gun on the Google effects, by the way. I did look.
I'm not surprised because GW have actually got it trademarked already.
Aha.
We've had a comment here from William Matthews who says, no new corn models, wanted dog faces, corn gores. Kind of corn beast men. How would you feel about that? If they added to the Bloodbound, but they had a bit of a beast men hint to them.
Now, I see, for me, Beastmen should never have been aligned to any Chaos God like Tzeentch or Khorne. Beastmen are not good enough, right, to get accepted into their ranks. They've always been like the underdogs, and a bit rubbish. So I just think they should be their own thing. That's just my opinion. There's enough Khorne stuff out there anyway. Bloody hell, they're getting a new book as well, aren't they?
Well, they do need one because the Stormcast had one which brought Stormcast more into line with the more recent books, giving them all their own various abilities and magical items and such. So I'm sure Khorne could use the same. Now, Mr. Remington, I believe it is time for a very important part of the show that some would argue is your favourite part of the show.
What would that be, Andy?
That would be the part of the show that you have to prepare the usual theme tune for. So, folks, it's time for What the Hell Is That? And now, this image I'm going to bring up now is part of a miniature on the GW website in the Age of Sigmar range. First person to name it will go on the list of potential prize winners for a future draw. So, Mr. Remington, would you like to give us the What the Hell Is That theme song while the people digest this beautiful image?
What the hell is that? 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 Only Andy and Remington know.
Well, what the hell is that indeed? I'm going to zoom out and in a little bit. Dun 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 dun.
Is it a shell?
I can confirm right now that it is not a shell. Joshua Ettison says Kharadron beard from the Navigator. Nope. Let's see. Mini Warrior says it's a plastic Thunderhawk. No, it's not. Abnormal, is that a horse tail? Nope, it's not a horse tail. It's not a plastic Thunderhawk. It's not a Kharadron Overlord Navigator beard.
It's not a beast.
Rambo.
It looks too clean to belong to Beastmen.
Bazooka says Blood Bowl Dwarf beard. No, it is not. Any other suggestions? Nick says Ariel the Radiant. Nope. Krulda6 says Dark Elf Sorceress. Nope. Demon _ Lizard and Matthew Williams at almost the same time says, is it Grombrindle, the White Dwarf? No, it is not. Rhino of Pleasure, it's a tentacle elf. Nope. Seamus Lysat, Rune Lord beard. Nope, it's not a Rune Lord beard. Mini Warrior says Elsa from Frozen. Nope. Abnormal Skaven Assassin. Nope. I can confirm that it is part of a beard. That is a piece of information I can give you willingly. It is definitely a beard. And before he obviously heard that, Joshua says Grey Seer. Nope. It's a beard. Definitely a beard. Mickey Jennifer says ice cream. Nope. Although it could potentially be an upside down cone of ice cream, perhaps. Dreddy says it's the pleasure beard. Nope, the pleasure beard isn't going to be featuring until the second season of The Forest of Rem. The quest for the pleasure beard. Nick says Longbeard beard. Nope. Seamus says Thorgrim. Nope. Abnormal, is it Gandalf the White? Nope. It's a beard, folks, and I'm going to tell you that it is potentially a, shall we say, quite a high-ranking beard. There's a clue for you. Very, very high-ranking beard, and I'll just tell you, it's a dwarf. Okay, we have a winner. William Matthews has got it right. He has said Warden King. Warden King, also previously known as Belagar Ironhammer, but it is the little bit of beard danglage at the bottom there. Look at that.
Ah.
Congratulations to William Matthews. He goes on the list. And Demon and _ Lizard was late with his Cogsmith guess and Mini Warrior guessed Santa Claus. So you're just too damn late. Okay then. So, Mr. Remington, what have you been working on painting-wise the last couple of weeks? Anything? Because you did go a bit nuts on the old painting and did about a zillion goblins, didn't you?
Yeah, and I found enough parts to make 10 more night goblins, but they don't have shields. They don't have arm shields, but I've got the shield, so I could just stick the shields onto the bodies. So I had a little look onto eBay, got outbid on a bunch of stuff, and then I could just stop painting. Really, I'm just staring at the ones I've painted recently. It's always a bad idea. But yeah, I've just gone right back into Total War, playing Bretonnians. It's been a mammoth long campaign, really hard. But I'm kind of in the final stages. It's just me and the dwarves. And the dwarves versus Bretonnians aren't a very happy match because 10 dwarves with ironbreakers and gyrocopters and heroes can pretty much outdo anything the Bretonnians can do. So it's been very frustrating, but slowly I am encircling their mountainous abodes.
Yeah, it is very difficult to crack a solid dwarven line with all those elite units that don't go down easy.
It's best not to get them face on, but go around them and kind of chip away. So I've been attacking them on one front, and then I went round the back, and I'm destroying all their kind of settlements on the other side of the map. So that's fun. But obviously, there's been rumors. In fact, we have about 5 days left until Creative Assembly announce their first announcement about Warhammer Total War 2, which looks like it's going to be based in Lustria, featuring lizard men, no doubt. Possibly, who knows what else? Skaven or Dark Elves. But that looks really, really exciting. But,
has there been any official confirmation of that yet?
Well, there has been a picture leaked, which if you give me about 10 seconds, I can show you.
It's always a bit risky whenever you give Remington the chance to bring up a picture. It's proven many times that he can't necessarily be trusted with his screen sharing abilities, and he does tend to keep all the images on his computer in a single folder. So if he clicks forward too many times, you never know what you're going to find.
All right, maybe not 10 seconds. I'm stalling here, but I will find something that will confirm this.
Well, while you're finding that, shall we look at miniatures people have painted from the Facebook group?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. There's going to be some pretty juicy ones in there this week. So, here is a lovely concussor from Kim Bartlett. Now, don't get too excited, Mr. Remington, because that is a male Kim, as far as I'm aware.
Nice. Same colour scheme. No, it's not. You had black and gold, didn't you? Pretty cool, man.
Yes, I like the highlighting on the beast's toes here. That's very nice. Very tasty indeed. Next, this is obviously from Mickey Jenber. And look at this. Wouldn't this be perfect for Witch Coven?
Yep. That's something special, isn't it? We talked about this on the Facebook page. Yeah, this is like she's got detachable claws. Because in Witch Coven, you get it's a bit like Tomb Raider. You've got like puzzles to solve. It's not just about killing things. And if she had to like do puzzles, it'd be very difficult with just a pincer. You know what I mean? To press buttons and stuff. So she could be one of the fake witches in disguise.
Well, obviously very, very nice paintwork, as all of Mickey Jenber's miniatures are. Next, this is from Kai Bressington. Now, do you own any of these creatures yet, Mr. Remington?
No, I've never got any of these. I went with Savage Orc, so.
So you can't comment on the difficulty of painting these particular ones.
No, they look like a lot of fun though.
It's obviously a fantastic colour scheme that's been chosen here. It has my full support.
It's like Wild Rider Red, isn't it? That.
Yes, I would say the actual beasts themselves, they look a bit more gritty and less cartoonish than GW's own paint jobs on them, don't they?
Mm. Yeah, those things are pretty good, aren't they? What they're called, gore grunters.
Something like that, yes. Very, very tasty indeed. Now, this is from Dreddy. This is the Christmas-themed Knight Vexilor. Not intentionally Christmas-themed. We also get an exclusive look at the German keyboard there that has a strange Strug key in the corner.
I love that green. Really nice.
Isn't it so nice and Christmassy?
Yeah. Need some bells.
Apparently, this Knight Vexilor will be delivering presents around the realms. Okay, this is from an anonymous painting legend. So, what do you think of this, Mr. Remington?
Yes. Is it finished or is it?
Yes, it is.
It is. You sure?
Yes.
Huh.
Also known as the Ungor Slayer.
I think it's really good. Yeah, it's brilliant. I think a little bit more work could be done on the horns and the claws. You know, just getting it that more stripy effect, dark to light. Maybe some color in the mouth, but yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I've seen a lot of people do amazing like flame effects inside the mouth.
Yeah.
But I haven't really done any kind of glowy effects on any of my Stormcast. I'm keeping them very, very subdued.
You could, if you want a little Remington $1 million tip, you could get some cotton wool, right? And then like dip it in some black or spray it a little bit and then shove it in his mouth so it looks like smoke's coming out his mouth.
Is that actually $1 million idea?
It's useful. It's, you know.
If I had to put a monetary value on that, I'm not sure it would be exactly $1 million. Oh, and look at that. We've got another image of it. What do you know?
Yeah, that's better.
You can see there is a little bit of colour variation in the horns when you see them close up.
You could try washing. Layers of wash getting darker and darker.
There is actually a bit of that going on.
There's a bit that's not enough.
There's been some wash at the base of the horns, and then there's been lots of dry brushing going on after that to kind of tie it together again so it's not such a stark contrast. And you can see the edges are a bit more pale.
That's a great photo, by the way. Very nice. How long did it take you to do then, this?
Let's see. Well, obviously not painting 24 hours a day, but in total it took a couple of weeks from start to finish, painting a bit of it each day.
Is that your longest time you think you ever spent painting a mini?
Let's see. It might well be, actually. On one miniature, it probably is, because it's the biggest I've painted. The other thing that took a long time would probably be the Mortis engine, but that's not quite as big. So,
it's great. I'm looking forward to taking him down for sure. What have you got riding on the back? What sort of a hero is he?
well, it's a Lord Celestant, but it can easily be run as the other character as well, if need be.
Right.
We have a very important question here from Russell Higgins. Did you dust, Andy? Yes, there was quite a lot of dusting that took place on this miniature. Quite a heavy amount of dry brushing, and the underbelly is all done with washes. I was actually planning on kind of filling in the individual underbelly scales in white as well, but I did a couple of them. I picked a spot that wasn't going to show when it was fully assembled, and I didn't think it looked very good. So I decided to keep it kind of pinky, purplish looking. And I think it looks pretty tasty.
Yeah, your painting's definitely like improved over the last year, Andy, with these Stormcast. I think GW miniatures now are easier to paint, or people, the level of painting that you see out there is just like gone up no end. And whether it's because there's so many more tutorials out there, or I think partly it's because the models are better to paint.
It could be entirely down to Duncan.
Yeah, maybe.
Not that you'd like to give him any credit, since he's known for stealing your techniques.
Certainly, I've been around since long before Duncan. I mean, the guy can't even grow facial hair yet. You know what I mean? I was into Warhammer when he was,
You're laying down the facial hair gauntlet. If Duncan pops up with a full beard in his next video, you're going to have to apologise, I think. Next, this is from Sam Jones, who is, of course, one of the painting maestros in the community. And, I mean, look at this. We saw the base quite a while ago, and he's only just got round to finishing this. Let's go in close. So you can see all the detail on these individual kind of jewels here, which is obviously very well done. There's another one that appears to be the same there on the belly, and the little individual characters that have been scrawled in on there. The colour transitions, very, very smooth, and obviously the base with all these comets swirling round. Very, very tasty indeed. What do you think of that, Mr. M?
That is superb. Yeah, really, really nice.
And look at that, immaculate fingernail as well, or thumbnail.
Yeah, I wonder if they used the Remington finger brush on this one. That's the only way they could have got such precise detail there. Dabbing, I like to call it dabbing.
The Remington finger sponge. Next, this is also from Sam Jones. This is obviously a Griff Hound. And on this hound, I would say, first of all, the feathers look very nice. It's a nice transition to a darker colour as it gets further down.
Yeah.
But I'm mainly wowed by the flesh at the back here. It looks like kind of a flat painting, doesn't it, of a lion. I don't know how you can get that kind of smooth look on the flesh. It's beyond my painting techniques.
Too thin coats, maybe? I'm not sure.
I think it's going to take a bit more than 2 thin coats to nail this technique. How would you go about painting this, Mr. Remington?
I don't know. I don't get that smoothness. I don't know. Probably because I paint right out the pot.
I think you need to thin your paints.
I don't know. I don't have the patience for 2 thin coats, But
You think you need to be mentored by Duncan?
Well, it's about time he gave me some ideas, isn't it?
I wouldn't even know how to approach doing this leg here, this top of the leg. Like that little bit of transition there. I'm sure if you zoom right in on it, you could pick out what each individual color is, but the order of application and whether there's any kind of wet blending going on or anything like that, it's beyond me, certainly. Look at the shiny eyeball as well. So we've had some very, very high quality miniatures this week, particularly from this anonymous contributor here. Mysterious painting legend in the making, who we're hoping to see more of in the future. So, Mr. M, you've got about 1 billion armies. When are the Ungor Raiders going to be coming up here to be smushed by the Star Drake?
Well, I think you'll have to come up with a suitable scenario. It shouldn't take you too long, Andy. Just look in your plethora of Andy wins scenarios.
Here's one. There are a series of floating islands containing treasure, which the Beastmen are not allowed to deploy on, nor travel to, except through a realm gate, but it's a very special realm gate, because it's been infused with Remington energy. So, if you roll 1 to 5, the model dies instantly, but if you roll 6, they pass through safely. The Stormcast is made up of 100% flying units, and for every turn they sit on treasure unopposed, they gain 100 points. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, whatever, whatever. But you won't. It's funny you've not challenged my ogres because they are undefeated.
I think I could probably take out the ogres now. I'm not so worried about that instant 6 wounds at the start of the game anymore.
All right. Aren't you worried about the reverse harpoon throw of my hunter?
You mean the harpoon builds up momentum for his throw by jogging backwards?
Yeah.
I think it should be in the rule that you have to actually move towards the enemy.
You should. Well, I've got this picture from Total War now, and you can decide whether it's.
Is it naked?
No, it's not naked.
But you did say that about the last one as well.
Yeah, I did. All right, here you go. Now, look, this is obviously a few days old now. Now, that's on a Creative Assembly site.
And you think that's guaranteed Lustria action, do you? Because it's so swampy and foggy looking.
Yes. Now, if you can see my pointer, you see the pointer there? The picture quality is not so good, but if you watch it in high def, the actual picture, that is just like a Lizardman temple ship.
Oh, and it does actually say, "Here comes Lustria" at the top.
Well, that's speculation off a YouTube channel that's talking about it. But I don't know what else it could be, unless you were doing. If there was a Total War featuring Aztecs and Mayans, which, well, they've had that in Ages of Empires, but yeah, it can't be anything else, surely. So there's going to be an announcement very soon, and it just looks like it's all featuring the new world.
Well, we've had some comments on this. Mickey Denver says, "Are we sure Khorne hasn't just set the forest on fire?"
No, it's just it's not fire, it's not smoke, it's more like jungle mist.
Dreddy says it's Snoop Dogg taking a stroll through a forest.
It is. It could be a little sneak preview to Forest of Rem Part 2.
It could be.
And
while you're fiddling with your images there, I'm just putting the camera back on me just in case there's anything lurking in your folders that the world shouldn't be exposed to, like there usually is. Okay, there we go. I think it's safe. Right then. Anything else you want to add on this fine evening, Mr. Rem, before we start to think about wrapping this one up? Because there's not a huge amount to discuss this week, really, because it's all going to go down as soon as those Kharadron Overlords hit and we get War Scrolls out of our ears, probably in the next week or so. And that pre-order button is going to be repeatedly clicked by me as soon as they're up.
When's it coming out? Is it first week of April?
But there's speculation that the pre-order will be this weekend, to be released the following weekend. So if I'm awake at the time for that 20-second period that the limited edition dice are available, I'm going to try and grab quite a few sets of those and then sell them not at a profit, sell them at cost price to members of our Facebook group, probably, if I can actually get them. And if anyone else is online during that 20-second period when the dice are available and manages to get some and I don't, then I hope they would generously sell them on at a low, low price to me. But we shall see.
What happened to the Remington dice you were touting about?
That's still in the works. The first people that I contacted about the possibility of having our own custom dice made, it was going to be too difficult for them to make the Remington dice because they order in bulk with blank 6s on the dice, not blank 1s, which is what we need for the Remington dice. So I'm going to have to go with somebody else. So I'm going to have to put feelers out to different companies and see what they can do. But the first one contacted is probably a no-go. So moving down the list.
Nah.
Obviously, you can't have the word Remington on the 6. That would just be ridiculous.
So what is it? Do you get Andy 2d6 on a 6 with your dice?
I would think that would be the best choice, yes.
Uh-huh.
Which you would think might be confusing if you were rolling them all together. But then when you see the word Remington, you just know that's synonymous with 1, isn't it? And you know that anything Andy related has to be 6 from all those armor saves. Okay, Mickey Genver is apparently going to buy loads of the dice and sell at a huge profit. Oh dear.
Fair enough. I mean,
so we know who's doing it now, at least.
She'll definitely make a profit from the Remington dice, that's for sure, because they're truly limited edition, whereas the Andy ones, well, you know.
The Andy ones will be heavily sought after. The Remington ones should actually be weighted so that slightly more often than not they land on 1s. Not all the time so they're unplayable. Just like 1% higher chance than usual to land on a 1.
Right. So yeah, I think we're about there now. If you're a few people have been curious about my musical adventures, if you are, you can check out my music, UncleFrankBand.com. You can buy our album, which is just out. I think you'll appreciate it. The cover's in orange, so even the few fans of Andy will appreciate that. Yeah.
If you play any of the songs backwards, are they like messages to Satan, or do they sync up with classic films or anything?
I have not tried that yet, but yeah, there is vinyl out there, so you can't actually play records backwards, can you? You'll have to put it into a computer, then reverse it. You can do it, yeah. You can do it digitally. But yeah, try it.
I think you need to release a song that, when played backwards, is actually the Andy and Rem show theme song.
But do me a favor and buy it, because then I can get out of my day job and do loads more music. It's taken me 3 years to make this album, so quite a bit longer than some of my battle reports.
I'm sure one of your battle reports is going to take longer than that to pop up. How long has this one been waiting for now?
It's been waiting 2 weeks, but it's a good one. It's a really good one as well. It's Savage Orcs versus Skaven.
Is it going to be one of the classic Remington battle reports where it sounds like you're hiding in the bushes outside somebody's house?
That's when that. Do you know what that was? That was when I was staying at my ex-girlfriend's house, or was it my mum's? But I basically made the battle report on iMovie on my phone under the covers of my bed, so no one could see or hear what I was doing.
I'm sure they wildly speculated on what you might be doing under there.
I thought it came out pretty good in the end.
Well, anyone who's familiar with the video that I'm talking about, and if you're not, you probably go over to Remington's channel, and there's not that many videos to choose from, so you'll find it eventually. Okay, people are saying that the pre-orders for the Kharadron Overlords might not be this weekend, but next weekend, in which case that's still fine, because it'll be before the next show. So hopefully we'll have plenty to discuss next time. We'll be able to sink our teeth firmly into all those war scrolls and allow the juicy tactical insight to flow out. And then via us, it'll flow down into like the George Foreman grill fat tray, which is the audience. So the information will pass into you. I'm sure that puts a lovely visual in people's heads.
I've not seen any response about which Coven novella, so maybe that's a non-starter. I don't know.
Yes, people have to leave some comments on that. And with that, I think it's time to wrap this one up. So if Mr. Remington would like to prepare his instrument to give us some kind of outro, I think it should have some kind of a sky theme, since there are sky pirates coming very soon. So let's have a look at this lovely image again. I know it says good evening as in hello, but now it's good evening as in goodbye. So don't forget to check out all the links in the description, join the Facebook group, post pictures of your Age of Sigmar related discussion topics and miniatures in there, and perhaps you'll have them featured on the next show. Take it away, Mr. Remington.
The sun is out, the sky is blue, Andy is orange and Remington's blue, but it's raining, raining in my heart. Andy is cool. Did I just really say that? But it's raining, raining in my heart.